Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. This is one of many sessions we periodically have with the FinTech Hive. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Microsoft for Startups program and myself, my name is Ali Samir Osman, and I lead strategic partnerships and deal flow at Microsoft for Startups in the Middle East and Africa. So today's session is structured to be engaging, interactive. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I'm going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes just running you through a high level of our program. Some of you may have seen this deck before. Some of you may have heard about the program before. But the exciting thing is Microsoft for Startups is all about the startup ecosystem and empowering founders on their journey and path to growth. And as a result, we take continuous feedback from our field teams all over the world, and we restructure and improve our programs as our years go on. So what I'm going to be showing to you today is an overview of the Microsoft for Startups program as it exists today. I'll run you through some of the other programs we do have that kind of come around our Microsoft for Startups initiative. I will tell you about the changes we recently announced at the start of this financial year, which makes it much easier for all types of startups to participate and benefit from Microsoft's ecosystem. And then I want to have a Q&A and open discussion around any questions anybody may have. A couple of ground rules. If you have a question that needs an immediate answer, just please use the raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If there's a longer question that you want to have a discourse or a discussion on, happy to do that. Please type that into the chat and I'll make sure to address it as soon as I'm done presenting the deck. So I'm going to share my screen now to run you through Microsoft for Startups and what we do. So this is an overview about Microsoft for Startups and specifically what we do in the Middle East and Africa. So as everybody knows this man, Satya, he's done an amazing job at Microsoft for Microsoft and really transformed the culture of the company towards a new horizon. And innovation is at the core of what we do at Microsoft. And it's not just innovation in the form of Microsoft innovating, but it's Microsoft enabling innovation. And that's where Microsoft for Startups plays an active role at the early stage of a business life cycle to support founders and support businesses in accessing technology that would help them innovate and help them scale. So at Microsoft, we believe in building a connected ecosystem. And when we say ecosystem, it's the sum of all parts that come together that interact with one another throughout the journey within the Microsoft universe. So on one end, we've got incubators and accelerators, which includes community partners such as the FinTech Hive. And we want to engage these partners to work with our programs, to benefit their communities, to help their portfolios in any way we can. This ecosystem extends to VCs, investors, and funders, Microsoft's technology and cloud partners that actually help us across different markets with promoting our solutions and winning new customers and therefore unlocking new opportunities. The government and public sector, where we try and have large programs and partnerships, whether it's to spur entrepreneurship at the student level, skill people to have the right skill set to be able to build on the right technologies, or to give them a path to entrepreneurship and help their startups succeed. And then lastly, of course, we've got the skilling team at Microsoft, where we hope to kind of tap into tools and resources that our startup partners can benefit from. This extends all the way to LinkedIn on one side, which has their own platform in the form of Linda and the workshops and content that comes through that, but also specifically from Microsoft area expertise, right? So people working in the cloud infrastructure team, people that can support you on onboarding, people that can support you on integrations with various Microsoft Startups tools, and learning about these, right? How do you harness the power of AI within Microsoft and on Azure Cloud? So this is how we try and bring everything together. And depending on the need of each, we try and play our part in supporting the ecosystem. On the startup side, we we hope to provide Microsoft's benefits in the form of access to technology, but also in the form of access to customers. And when it comes to accessing customers, we hope that we can provide our startups in the program with not just a platform, but also the opportunity to connect with potential customers and to engage with large potential clients for which they can partner with, they can win commercial contracts with, and go to the next level. So, just as a nutshell, and I'll touch upon this quickly, what's the value of partnering with Microsoft for startups? So let me just run you quickly through a brief journey of a startup that's onboarding in our program. We look to onboard high potential startups that are building products, are either at a pre-product market fit or a post-product market fit, but have a working prototype solution or MVP. And at that stage, we as Microsoft onboard that startup with benefits that can be Azure Cloud credits, licenses to Microsoft Office and other services as the need requires, and access to GitHub for developer tools and community engagement. That's the first phase of the onboarding. So once you activate your benefits, once you as a startup are on our program, once you start the migration process and are engaging with the technical teams, another world opens up. If your solution is one that can benefit from an integration with one of Microsoft's products, we're talking Microsoft Teams, Dynamics, Office, LinkedIn, or any of the other products that we have, if there's true value to be unlocked in an integration, there's a process by which that can be explored. Beyond that, as startups on board, they move towards a commercial marketplace onboarding. Now, what is the Microsoft commercial marketplace, right? So in layman's terms, think of it as an app store for Azure Cloud and a marketplace within it. And in this marketplace, we have Microsoft partners, we have Microsoft customers, large corporates, big accounts that are also on this cloud, looking for new innovative solutions that they can plug into their strategy or their businesses. Now, as a startup that's in our program, taking advantage of our benefits on offer and migrating to Microsoft Azure, once you're onboarded onto the marketplace, you can use the marketplace for pricing strategies, for marketing strategies in order to win a lead through that marketplace. And if you're a startup that's based out of Dubai or the UAE, that marketplace allows you to touch any partner or customer that's also on that marketplace anywhere in the world, which means you could win a customer in a country where you're yet to set up an office. And that advantage that you get gives you true global reach. And eventually, as you all know, if a startup expands into new geographies, they're more favorable or in a better position to raise capital from investors in those markets, right? So that's where it comes full circle. The last part of this journey, and something that's really ideal for B2B focused startups, is what we define internally as co-sell readiness. And if a startup is on the marketplace, migrated and taking advantage of Microsoft's ecosystem, once achieving co-sell readiness, a startup can actually reach out to a Microsoft account manager or an industry partner lead anywhere in the world and apply jointly for RFPs, tenders, or just get this person to help sell on your behalf in that country. So like this, we create go-to-market opportunities that are unique in nature and allow startups to truly access scale by riding the Microsoft ecosystem. Beyond onboarding and some of the benefits that I mentioned and go-to-market access, we at Microsoft for Startups Middle East are actually in the process of creating a better programmatic experience for our startup community. So what does this mean? This means as soon as you're onboarded, we onboard you onto a Teams channel. This Teams channel has other startups in our community, which fosters a collaborative environment where you can collaborate with other startups in our portfolio across the region. Not only that, we have resources embedded into this Teams channel, which allow you to tap into documentation to support on the technology side or the business fundamental side. Similarly, as an opt-in feature, we will be offering our startups opportunities on a quarterly basis to engage with our corporate partners and customers across the Microsoft network in the Middle East and Africa. These will be opportunities to matchmake and network to win contracts or set up new partnerships that could benefit startups commercially. We provide mentorship and access to mentorship through industry experts, both in Microsoft and outside Microsoft. We're putting together a list of perks from partners that you can benefit from by simply being a part of the program, which could involve discount for services, everything from legal to taxation and beyond. And lastly, we want to facilitate an opportunity where if you are a startup in our program, and you know, we don't want it to be generic, because the reality is not every company is fundraising all the time. I know there's a saying that you should always be fundraising, but there are times that you're open to raising capital and are actively pursuing interests from investors. And we want to utilize that and capture that data and that experience from our startups in order to facilitate access to investors that might be industry vertical focused based on your product, that might be round focused based on how large a round or what stage you're raising at, or just looking for agnostic solutions where we can actually help investors meet opportunities that are actively looking for capital today. The last piece I want to touch upon is how we've kind of changed, right? And the reason I say that is because, again, some of you at the FinTech Hive may have heard this 6 months ago. And 6 months ago, what I was saying around our onboarding was slightly different. At the time, we were more focused on B2B SaaS, PaaS, and similar solutions as a business model. We were looking for startups that had received institutional funding to some extent, had some minimum revenue traction from an ARR perspective, and so on. But this year, July onwards, all of that has changed. And what we've realized is to really unlock opportunities and support founders, we need to go as early as possible to really hold their hand from the very beginning. And to that extent, the criteria around the business model being B2B, PaaS, SaaS is no more. You can be any type of startup, B2B, B2C, B2G, and as a result, come to our program, take advantage of the benefits, and use that platform to support your growth. Institutional funding as a minimum requirement is no more, and neither is traction in terms of minimum ARR. What we look for instead is the minimum criteria being a product solution MVP. Pre-product market, post-product market, both are happy and easy to apply to our program. Not only that, we are not looking for technical alignment with Microsoft. So it's not necessary that your product must have an integration potential with any of Microsoft solutions. We're looking for anything and everything that we can support regionally to scale. What we do look for, however, are startups that have a cloud utilization, whether it's in the form of data that they need to process, whether it's in the form of their solution being on the cloud entirely. We would like to see startups that have a cloud use case, because we believe cloud is the future of efficient technology. The last piece I wanted to add on kind of the program criteria and the benefits associated with it is the fact that at any point, whether a FinTech Hive startup or otherwise, you need support from Microsoft from a startup lens. You need to ask questions. If you're confused whether you must only be on Azure versus you can be on AWS, Azure, and Google, if these are concerns and questions you have, I hear them all the time. Don't hesitate. Please ask for my email. I'm going to share it in the chat below, and reach out to me. What else I'm going to do at the end of this session today is I'm going to be sending the FinTech Hive an updated email with our application link, which is really just a link where we require a lot of details about the startup, the industry, your need, in order to process the benefits for you. And along with that, I'm also going to be sharing kind of the features or the benefits of our program that you as startups can potentially tap into, either things that are provided to you fixed or regardless of you wanting them or not, and other things that are opt-in services that we provide that you can take advantage of. An exciting and last announcement that I want to make to you is if you're coming to GITEX this year, stop by. We're going to be there. Reach out. Let's connect. Happy to meet face to face. I will be coming to FinTech Hive more regularly now, so we'll definitely be interacting there. And over the course of the next 2 months, Microsoft for Startups at a global level is going to be launching our new Founders Hub initiative. And what the Founders Hub initiative will do is, based on your startup and where it is in its life cycle, will provide certain benefits in order for you to directly access our global website, directly onboard and take advantage of those benefits, and actually have a plethora of resources for you available from a global network perspective that will allow you to build on your technology as well as your business fundamentals base, and sign up with a network of global partners and mentors that could help you in the next stage of your growth. So I'm going to pause my presentation there, and happy to take any questions and start a discussion that anyone may have. Okay, so I see 2 questions for now. I'm going to answer both of them live. So first question is, would Microsoft hold any shares in the startups as part of the program? So the easy answer to that is no. We are not a profit center for Microsoft. We do not take shares or equity in startups in our programs. We are purely there to support the growth of those startups and help them build with and on Microsoft. All the benefits provided to you are free of cost. To that, I will add one more point. We have also recently launched an accelerator program called Microsoft Growth X. This program is only open to those startups that are actually on Microsoft and in the Microsoft for Startups program. So we recruit startups all over the region, all over the world in our program. And as part of Growth X, we partner very closely with 5 to 6 corporates per cohort. With each corporate, we determine what their need is, what type of B2B or B2C solution they're looking for, depending on their corporate strategy needs or innovation needs. And then based on those needs, we help match startups directly with those corporates that will then be selected in the final 15 startups of our accelerator cohort. And in that cohort, you get additional support with respect to the workshops, with respect to access to corporates, with respect to engagements with investors. But most importantly, you get to do one-on-one workshops with corporate partners that are looking actively for solutions to deploy a POC and eventually win a significant commercial contract. Even for that accelerator program, which is virtual in nature and 3 months, we do not take any equity. Our pure purpose there is to have a more handheld approach as compared to our Microsoft for Startups program in facilitating potential commercial opportunities with corporate partners that are looking for startups to solve their challenges. That program's first cohort is live currently. It launched last month. And the second cohort will be taking place early next year, around January, February. So definitely follow our LinkedIn page, follow up with FinTech Hive because they'll be informed about it. And we want all of our startups in the region to participate if they feel they have the right solution. The second question is, can a startup access the Microsoft for Startups program without using any of the Microsoft products? So yes and no. The benefit you get from the program in terms of accessing corporates and accessing customers, it only really works if you're on the same cloud as Microsoft customers. A go-to-market support in terms of reducing your, so let's put it this way. For those of you that have worked and tried to win business with customers and large entities, there's a process of procurement and vendor onboarding, which can be quite cumbersome. Even after you go through the difficult process of business development and winning the contract or interest, there's still navigating the processes of procurement that you must go through. What being on Microsoft's Azure cloud does is, if our customers are also on the cloud, which they are, it reduces the time lag on the procurement onboarding, because you, by the very fact that you're on the same cloud as them, become a plug-in into their solution and services, which means that time lag that you have, which can take anywhere from 3 to 12 months, comes down and is reduced significantly. So the only real, I guess, criteria is you must be on Azure cloud. But if you use other services and programs to manage your data instead of Excel or otherwise, you do not need to use the Office licenses as part of Microsoft for Startups. If your question, and I might be reaching out on my own here, but I've had this question before. A lot of startups have asked us, do we need to leave AWS where we built on, or leave Google where we built on, or leave IBM that we built on in order to move everything to Microsoft for startups? And the quick answer to that is no, we do not ask for exclusivity in any way. What we do say is the only way we can really benefit you from the go-to-market perspective is if your solution that will go live with the customer is also on Azure Cloud. Because if it's not on Azure Cloud, we cannot take advantage of the benefits for go-to-market that I just shared. Is there a dedicated financial services Microsoft sales team in the region? Yes, there is. Microsoft has a number of verticals that it focuses on globally, not just regionally. And a lot of these important verticals, financial services included, has a dedicated team that works across the financial services vertical and industry partners. These can include from everything from insurance companies to banking companies and credit organizations. So yes, we do have that team. And those are the teams that we hope startups can take an advantage of as a part of our program when they are on Microsoft. Because just to give you an ecosystem example and how it works, right? This financial services question is a good one. If, and it is the case, Microsoft has a customer that is a large bank. And that customer, which is a large bank, in the UAE especially, is on Azure Cloud. With Microsoft Azure having local data centers, Microsoft for Startups program actually suffices all of the regulatory requirements for operating on the cloud in the UAE. As a result, if you're a fintech startup that has an amazing solution that can be used by a bank or a financial services company, you're ideally placed to take advantage of the program, to go through the program journey, to engage with the financial services team, and to have them put you into that bank so that you can actually actively win a customer and meet all the regulatory requirements that come with that. Obviously, this is an example for financial services, but in the UAE specifically, with respect to even healthcare, which is highly regulated with respect to customer data, these realities open up. So those were the 3 questions I had in the Q&A. I'm going to check the chat as well. Do the startup products need to have Microsoft's components to partner with Microsoft? So I believe I answered that question already, right? I don't think it's absolutely essential, but I explained to you why Azure migration is a core component of it and how that creates value from a go-to-market perspective. Are there any other questions? Do you want to just chat about something? Let me know. I'm right here. Okay, we've got two questions that have come in. So my co-founder is already in the Women in Cloud program in the US. I believe all or most of the benefits mentioned are provided by Women in Cloud. Should we still apply for the Microsoft for Startups program? So the Women in Cloud program is probably a subset and operates in the US. So yes, some of the benefits may be the same. And if you have a US entity and it's already in the program, then it has all those benefits from a Microsoft perspective. However, from a regional context in the Middle East, if you have an office or an entity in the Middle East that is not part of Women in Cloud or other programs, you could still take advantage of it, because from a go-to-market support perspective, our Middle East teams are obviously different from our US teams. And the customers we have in the region have different account managers, and therefore you want to integrate with them. So what I would say as a first step would be, ask your co-founder to reach out to your Women in Cloud program lead, whoever that person is that they're engaging with, and ask them how they can support with access to markets such as the Middle East. And based on that, if there's any roadblocks that you hit, please feel free to send me an email, and I will see where either I can support you or my colleagues Noor Salama and Sanya Kadura can support you from a technology and programmatic perspective in the region. I'm sharing my email address in the chat as well for everybody to have a look at and respond to. Here you go. This is my email. If you would like to reach out, I will make sure to support you however I can. So great. Answered Sonny's question. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. If we're a co-sell partner with Microsoft in another region of the world, can we work directly with the local teams? Tariq, I just appreciate it if you can clarify that question a little bit more. If you are already a co-sell partner with Microsoft, are you a co-sell partner through the Microsoft for Startups program, or are you a co-sell partner as a direct paying customer of Microsoft? I think that clarity would help me give you a better answer. And what do you mean by local teams? Do you mean local teams as in local Microsoft for Startups teams? What do you mean? In my understanding, if you have already achieved co-sell partner status, you should be able to reach out directly to any of the vertical sales teams at Microsoft across the world in any region. Hi, Ali. Do Microsoft have a VC arm that eventually might invest into member companies? Good question. So we get this question a lot. And although Microsoft for Startups itself is not an investor, we are a support program for the startup community and ecosystem. We obviously do have contacts and connections with the Microsoft investment arm known as M12. Now, M12 is a function that invests into technology companies as startups as a venture capital investor. And as such, has a specific criteria to look at opportunities with a pure investment lens, not just internally into Microsoft for Startups companies, but on a deal-by-deal basis based on what opportunity they believe is the right fit from an investment point of view. That being said, what I clarified about accessing investor opportunities through our program in the region, M12 is naturally one of those partners that we work closely with to look at those startups in our programs that are looking for active investment today. And we share those opportunities with M12 to identify those that fit with their investment thesis and then become investable as a result. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions, comments, clarifications? I will say one thing. My colleague Sanya, who is our cloud architect and lead on the technology side within our Microsoft for Startups team, is leading a session after this where she will cover, topics related to migration with Azure, any questions you may have regarding being on multiple clouds, or any other technology-related questions. You can direct them to her because I'm sure she's well prepared to answer each and every one of them. On anything else that either of the participants would like to know, whether it's about the program, about the support, about our GrowthX Accelerator, about any concerns you have, or anything else that I can answer. If not, I'll ask you a question. How many of you are interested in immediately receiving, the link to onboard the Microsoft for Startups benefits, and therefore kind of participate from the program immediately? And the reason I ask that is because although I'm sharing that with Yasmin at the end of the call, I would happily share the same in the chat below if it was something that you would like to take advantage of, at this very moment. So if anyone, if I could get some responses to that question in the chat, it would be super. Laura, I believe you have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, I was just putting my hand up to say yes to the being interested.
Ah, perfect. That was your response. Awesome. Thank you very much. This is good. So we've got 2 people that are interested immediately. I think even 1 person was enough for me, but I just wanted to understand. I'm going to, if you just give me a second, I will just type in there our benefits. So everybody has a high level view and the application link. All right, just sending this over to you. Right, there you go. Okay. Chat. Okay. So this is very hard to read, to be honest, in the chat. So I'm just going to write the link and a small note for you guys. Feel free to fill it out today, reach out, and I'll send the follow-up email to Yasmin as well, so she can share it with all of you. On the question regarding being a US entity, but you're looking at the Middle East as a potential market, yes, so we have a global program. You could still take advantage of it, but with respect to some of the Middle East and Africa related support programs that we've talked about, whether it's, you know, the localized mentorship or the localized engagement and the localized perks and support, those obviously will not be accessible as you will be registered to the US. However, if you have a Middle East entity, or if you apply to the Microsoft for Startups program and mention you know, myself or my Microsoft Middle East and Africa team or my email address in the form, they will attempt to tag it to our region, in which case you will be part of our regional community in the program. I hope that clarifies it. And if you have any questions while filling out the form, you know, please reach out. I'm going to share my email below again, in case anybody missed it, just so that it's super clear and easy to access for everybody. Any other questions or comments, concerns? I don't see any hands up and I don't see any questions. I will take it that I've done a good job and been super clear. So I guess if Yasmin's there, I can ask her the next steps if there aren't any other questions. Thanks for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.